What's up guys, and today we're gonna react to this video called I got a pet dragon that actually flies. So this video link will be in the description. This video link will be in the description. You can go ahead and check him out. So let's get right into it. Okay. Okay, let's start.
This is a Draco lizard, but I like to call them a dragon because of this.
Oh,
Yes, it is actually the only lizard species that has literal wings, which allows it
Bro.
to fly in the air so they can eat bugs in hard-to-reach areas. Usually, you would never be able to find one of these, but I just found a website that had one in stock.
Yo, no way,
That's-
this is crazy. I
yeah.
have been waiting years for one of these to come in stock on a site. I gotta buy this before someone else does. Oh my gosh.
Yep, so I checked one out for $500, and only a few days later, a package showed up at my house.
Yo, is this thing actually in here? I mean, if it is, I will be one of the first people to show off the insane abilities of the closest thing to a real dragon.
So I
That's
very
right.
carefully took this thing out and finally got to see if it was real.
Oh my gosh, it's
Oh.
actually legit.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I didn't expect it to be so small. I mean, is it a baby lizard or? I mean, it's look pretty weak.
I am not kidding when I said I was waiting years for one of these things to come in stock. And at a first glance, you might be
Oh
kind
my
of confused
god.
of why.
Oh,
Because it kind of
wait a second. I didn't see any wings.
just looks like some regular old lizard, but there's a couple key characteristics
Oh.
that tell me otherwise. So I carefully grabbed it so I could show off what makes them so
Oh,
exotic.
damn,
See this,
that's so
guys?
sick.
These things have these massive flabs of extra skin that in reality is the wings.
Yes, these dragon lizards purposely hide their wings by default so it'll look like a regular old lizard to bugs. But of course, at any second, the dragon could decide to reveal its wings so it could literally fly up and devour any bug it wants.
And yes, I will actually be recording footage of this thing flying. And in order to see it, we gotta put together a massive enclosure.
And I mean massive. For this dragon, I need to build the largest tank I've ever built on my channel. And like always, we'll be starting with the background / floor. The goal for how we want to make this tank look is essentially to recreate the massive trees from their natural habitat, which they of course jump off to fly. And that of course means we need to stick tons of overhanging branches to the spray foam to seal them in place. Then we cover all this excess spray foam I laid out in natural stuff like dirt, leaves, and bark, and boom, this background is finished.
Yes, sir. These overhanging branches will be perfect for our dragon to sit on and, of course, fly off of. But we can't just leave this floor area empty. Oh no, we gotta add dirt.
And because this is the biggest tank I have, I couldn't just use a normal old bag of dirt, because those cost like $20 each, and I would need so many. Instead, I'm
that's
gonna be
insane.
using these compact dirt bricks, which are way cheaper, but are a bit annoying, because in order to turn them back to dirt, you gotta soak them in a whole tub of water, and wait for a very, very long time. And yeah, apparently the bucket of water I gave them wasn't enough, because I had to add a whole second bucket of water just to get them expanded enough.
And when these have soaked up water for hours, we can literally just take our hand and start breaking them apart into a bunch of dirt, just like that. And wait a second. No, I just realized I forgot to add the drainage layer before
Bro.
adding in the dirt. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I actually had to scoop out all this dirt temporarily and instead started to fill it with these clay balls. If you're a fan, you obviously know what I'm making. I make it in all my builds basically. But essentially, because the dragon lizards love a super moist, high humidity environment, this drainage layer will let water soak into it and keep the whole tank nice and moist.
All right, now I've just got to look past the massive mess I've made and, well, add my dirt back on top. Let's go. This thing
This looks so fun to watch. I mean, he's literally building an environment.
Tank is actually looking well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it has a lot of work still. Let's fix this thing.
And our next step to do that is to add some decorations inside. So I'll be starting with adding some more wood.
Oh, but of course, I don't just have a mere stick. I bought an insane amount of wood for this video. It was actually very expensive. I don't know why I bought this much wood, actually.
But this gives me some excellent options of different wood types to pick and choose from to make this place look actually natural. I mean, there was these cool spiderwood things that I bought that actually look like trees if they had some leaves on them. The only problem is our tank is way too big for just these. So it was good that I also bought some of these more simple pieces of wood that were a bit longer so I could actually start stacking them up in this tank.
You see, I'm essentially trying to make these things look like tree trunks because those dragon lizards we're getting actually spend their entire lives basically clinging onto trees. Yeah, they basically almost never even fly down to the floor. So yeah, we need to fill this thing up.
But yeah, we still want to make sure there's enough empty space for our dragon to be able to fly around. So I left this area here open so that could hopefully happen.
But we have a problem. This tank is still looking extremely dead and lifeless. Probably because it is dead and lifeless. There's not really any life in here. But I know just how to fix that.
These are seeds, but not just any type of seeds. I went out and bought the 4 fastest growing seed types of all time because I want to get a time lapse of this tank coming to life.
So it'll be interesting to see which of these 4 seeds grows the fastest. So we're gonna first start by sprinkling cress seeds on the left side of the tank, chia seeds, and broccoli seeds in the middle, and last but not least, radish seeds on the right. Honestly, I have no clue if any of these are even gonna grow at all. I guess there's only one way to find out.
So I quickly sprayed down each of the seeds because, of course, seeds, they need to be wet to sprout. And I left my time-lapse camera recording so I could see what would happen. And as you could probably guess, nothing really happened the first few hours at a glance. But in reality, each seed in here was absorbing the moisture from the soil to fuel them with enough energy to start sprouting. And if you look very closely, a few of the seeds started to do just that. But since this footage was super blurry, I moved my camera even closer to the cress seeds, where we could very much see in detail how the soil essentially starts to look like it's inflating as these little white stems start to expand out of the seeds. And right as we are about to get to the good parts, my time-lapse camera ran out of battery. Yeah, it just turned off.
Bro, you gotta be kidding me. I went to sleep to time-lapse this and my phone died in the middle of it. Well, at least we got some footage, and also check out these seeds. Tons of them actually are starting to grow little green leaves, although these chia seeds didn't start growing at all, and the other seed types are just growing not nearly as well as these cress seeds.
So I decided to essentially remove all the other seeds that didn't grow that well and instead just replace them with a ton more cress seeds, since we figured out those easily grow the best.
So yes sir, by the end of the video, you'll see how much the enclosure transforms from all the greenery. It should be cool. But for this next decoration, I actually have to build something custom.
Yep, if you didn't know, these things right here are called rocks. Yeah, pretty revolutionary stuff. But using a genius strategy I came up with, I can stack these rocks in a curved pattern just like my pet alien worm's enclosure to essentially create a cave here. And yeah, I of course used some spray foam to stick it all together and then covered it in some dirt.
Yup, and the main reason I wanted to make a cave in here is because I feel like dragons are just known to live in caves. So you see how this dragon has a campfire in the cave with them? And I think we should recreate that in here. So I've got a paper towel and a lighter so we could turn this into a campfire.
Hold on, what?
Actually, I might have to get another lighter. So we can turn it into a campfire. Oh yeah. Oh, that flame's getting big.
No.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I actually can't have a fire in the enclosure. That would actually certainly be extremely dangerous for our lizard, since it's not actually a real dragon. So I instead went out and bought a super tiny mini toy campfire to recreate the same look. Pretty good.
But dragons aren't only known for living in caves, they're also known for conquering castles. And you see how this castle is on top of like a rocky mountain? I think I want to build my castle on top of the cave, so it basically looks the same.
But if you've seen my other videos, usually it never turns out good when I try and build some custom models of stuff. So this time I decided to go with something much easier to build. A Disney princess castle.
Is he going to put a toy castle?
Yeah, listen, bro, I'd rather build something stupid and have it look like an actual castle rather than try and carve some stones out to somehow look like a castle. Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Well, here's the Lego castle. And, it looks All right,
look
on top of the
fine.
cave, but I have a way to make it look even better.
This right here is some gray animal-safe acrylic paint.
Oh.
Well, I figured I should start using this to completely paint over all of the castle.
That's a
Because,
good idea.
castles are usually gray because they're made out of stones and not purple and stuff like this princess castle. And then after it was completely painted, I covered it in a layer of paint sealant so it would stay on the bricks.
But now that I look at this picture again, I'm actually noticing that it has green grass kind of all over the top of the mountain,
yeah.
which I feel like I should recreate that in here with this mossy stuff. And yeah, it actually doesn't look too shabby.
Since that worked pretty well, I decided to start putting a bit more of this moss
Oh,
around to actually make this place look green. Since,
That's
these
awesome.
seeds at the bottom still
They
haven't
are
grown yet. And it was
really
good to do
looking
this
nice.
because it allowed me to cover areas where there is still some exposed spray foam, so this whole tank quickly started to come together.
This is looking splendid. Wait a second. Who put a dragon pinata
Oh.
right here? Well, actually, it was me because, well, we're keeping a pet dragon, and actually, I'm
Bro,
just kind of
this
hungry.
guy
I'm
is
not gonna
so
lie. I want some
funny.
candy. Let's smash this. Hopefully, we get some good candy from it.
What?
Oh, there we go. Look at all the candy. Let's go. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, would you look at that? It's the new Spider Terrapal Velora.
Yup, this is the brand new Terrapal we just released. And I figured since we put Velcro on the feet so they could connect together, I would just go ahead and hang it from a branch in the enclosure, just like a real spider. And while it doesn't really match the theme of the enclosure, I'm sure the dragon lizard would still love to fly and climb all over it because of how soft and fluffy it is. And oh yeah, I had a good amount of that candy from the piñata too.
That's good.
Now, there's only one final step to make this tank ready, and that is to add in life.
Yes, sir. And the first life form I want to add is actually some food for the dragon to eat. Now, you see, I've been showing this animation throughout the video of how dragons eat crickets, but in reality, they don't even eat crickets in the wild. The truth is, they primarily only eat ants. So that means I need to add
Ants.
lots of ants in here.
But of course, I didn't want to feed my own pet ant colony that I've shown in
have
other
a pet
videos,
ant?
so I instead opted
Wait
to
a
catch...
second. He really have ants as his pet. This is so crazy.
some wild ants.
All right, so to gather up a ton of ants,
Basically, I've got
a jar of
peanut butter,
which I'm just gonna squeeze a ton of it onto this platform. And then I'm just gonna leave it right here, and surely a ton of ants will start to swarm it.
So I set up my camera, and as you could probably guess, it didn't take very long till the first ant had stumbled across this legendary loot. He instantly knew this was some
No.
delicious food, but instead
Run
of eating
away.
it, he started to release a special pheromone into the air, which essentially
going
tells
to
the
feed
whole
the
rest of the
dragon
colony
to
that
you.
there's food. Literally right when it got dark, the entire colony started to swarm in. There's even other bugs that came in, like this little earwig, which was nibbling the peanut butter, and even some slugs. But overall, this is pretty cool to watch.
I'm afraid you guys have fallen straight into my trap. So I've got this paintbrush and container, and I'm essentially just gonna pick all these ants up real quick. And now I just gotta scoop as many as I can into here before they all try to run away. All right, and this should be a good enough amount of ants. Let me take this back to the tank because I have a special plan for these guys.
Yep, these ants are actually not ready to feed just like this. I actually first had to pour this white calcium powder on them and shook it up, which coats them all in a layer of calcium, which if you didn't know is super important to make sure our dragon eats because it makes his bones very strong basically.
Well, and let me start spreading you guys around this enclosure. Yeah,
Oh
hopefully
my
the dragon will
God.
naturally find some of you guys and
Poor
end up
ants.
feeding you.
Anyways, for the final life to add into this tank, I've got some regular old springtails.
Which, of course, the little springtails that live in this dirt eat mold. So it's always great to add them to a nice moist tank like this. Oh, but the other day, I actually did just buy a scientific microscope. And I've always wanted to see what one of these springtails looks like super small. So let me go ahead and just put a bit of this dirt on there. And let's see if we can see anything.
So I set up my camera right at the edge of this microscope and tried to locate a springtail. Thankfully, there's tons of this dirt, so it didn't take very long until I found this guy. Here, you can see how detailed they really
What's
are,
this?
with their legs, tiny hairs, and even their little antennas. But of course, the reason they are called springtails is, well, because of their tail that is essentially just like a spring. They're able to flick their
Bro,
tail
what?
at an insane speed that basically
They are not like a springs. Oh, okay. They're a little bit like a spring. Okay.
that is essentially just like a spring. They're able to flick their tail at an insane speed that basically springs them up in the air, which
Oh.
helps them stay safe from potential predators. Although, I don't know what predator would even want to eat this. It's not like it has any nutrition since it's so small.
It is crazy to think that there's thousands of these just living in this tiny little container. So let's go ahead and just kind of dump it in the enclosure. And dump a few more in.
Now, I quickly added in the final technologies I was missing, like this automatic water misting system system where you literally just press a button and it sprays the whole enclosure with water. Very cool. And of course, I got the proper lights on the enclosure, which will make the left side nice and hot so the dragon can choose if he wants to be hot or cold. And well, guys, I'm glad to say everything is checked off on this list, and that means this tank is 100% complete.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. Dragon, I'm sorry for keeping you alone for a day, but it was well worth the wait because say hello to your new home. Oh, it looks like he likes it. He's already going and climbing the branches, and oh my gosh, look at that camouflage. That's actually kind of crazy.
And now that this guy's made it into his enclosure, we need to finally see what it looks like when they extend their wings and fly. However, the only way that this is going to happen is when my dragon feels safe and comfortable enough in this tank. So I have a few things I want to do to help it adjust. First of all, starting with feeding.
And there's a couple different food sources I want to feed. First of all, starting with crickets. Because even though I was saying the dragon doesn't eat these earlier, I figured it's at least worth trying, since if it does, it would make my life a lot easier.
So I let a cricket loose into the enclosure, and unlucky for this guy, he immediately started to climb on the very piece of bark that our lizard was sitting directly on top of. And I guess this really goes to show how good the camouflage of this dragon lizard is, because this cricket walked straight up to him. He could not even see there was a lizard here. But considering this cricket was basically...
Wait a second. These crickets are very big for him because he's so small. Look at him. It's so big, cricket.
Bigger than the dragon's head. It was no surprise that the dragon didn't even try to eat it. And yeah, literally every time I brought a cricket over to his head for the next hour, he just did not try and eat them.
All right, something's telling me this dragon lizard doesn't actually like to eat crickets because, I mean, there's literally a cricket under his neck hugging him right now. So let's move on to our next food source, which is, of course, ants. And as you can see, I actually have some of those calcium dusted ants, so I can feed them very easily without having to find the one to put in here.
Since the dragon had moved a bit and was now perching under the heat lamp, I figured I'd just bring the ants straight to him. Since in the wild, that's actually how they usually eat. They just sit still on top of a tree and snipe every ant that comes up next to them. But I guess that instinct is hardwired into every Draco lizard, because mine pretty much instantly also starts to slurp up these guys. Let's go. I'm actually happy he's starting to eat these a bit. That means he's getting more used to this enclosure.
Now, obviously, ants, they're great, but I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a pain to have to go out and collect those every time I want to feed this guy. And that's not even to mention, usually it's just not even recommended to feed stuff you get from outside. So I have one more food source I want to try. Flightless fruit flies.
Yeah, most people would think Draco lizards actually wouldn't want to eat fruit flies. My thinking is, since they're the same size and color of ants and actually even more nutritious, I figured it wouldn't be a bad idea to try them out. So I dumped some in, and to my surprise, the Draco lizard actually showed the most interest in these fruit flies, because not only did he just start to pick off the ones that were running by him, but he was also going out of his way to jump around and hunt these flies. Dang, must be pretty tasty.
Let's go. The fact that these fruit flies work makes feeding so much easier. But you see, actually, by this point, I've had this little Draco lizard in the tank for like 10 days. You can actually see how much the tank is transforming with all that grass growing everywhere. Oh, dang, look at how long the grass is on this side. But over these 10 days, I have realized how hard it is to keep one of these Draco lizards. I've been spending hours every day to help him get adjusted to the tank so he can thrive. And I've even been getting him slowly adjusted to my hand so he won't be as scared of me.
And because this guy has been constantly showing off his wings in the tank, I figured now would finally be the right time to try and get it to fly. So I very carefully picked up the little guy and held him in the sky.
All right, now even though I technically could just kind of hold this guy on a ladder and wait until he jumps off, because they pretty much always catch themselves with their wings, considering I already know they're such hard pets to keep, I wouldn't want to have to stress him out any more than he needs. So I'm just gonna hold him in front of the enclosure I know he likes and just see if he wants to glide in on his own.
And don't worry, I had tons of cushioning right under in case it didn't work. So I set up my camera and I caught this happening. The dragon was staring at the cage, looking like he was ready to jump. So I gave him a little nudge with my thumb, and then it happened. Hold on, rewind that so we can get a better look at what just happened. Now I do want to say sorry for the trash footage quality, but I didn't want to have to re-record this and make the dragon jump again, so this is all you get. Anyways, as you can see, he jumped and immediately brought out his wings. They're literally programmed to know that once they're not touching the ground, to bring out their wings. We can see how he caught the wind and perfectly flew exactly where he was trying to land, right on the branch.
That was insane, and don't worry, little guy, I'm not gonna make you do that again. And what's interesting is these lizards only fly in the wild when there's a strong wind current, so I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of using a leaf blower to help recreate that here. That's kind of why that worked so well, and he was actually able to catch the wind. And yeah, this guy's still doing great. But remember, they actually are really hard reptiles to keep, so only try and get one if you
This
actually have
guy.
tons of experience keeping reptiles in the past.
Anyways, I hope you guys learned something new about nature, and thank you for watching.
And guys, don't forget about the
Oh, that's really entertaining to even watch. I mean, it's not a dragon, but it really is fun to watch a lizard who can really fly and jump around. But I'm also thinking about that. Wouldn't that little lizard will be lonely and alone in that chamber? I mean, he has created a really good environment for him, but I mean, it wouldn't he be lonely if he leave him in the nature? Maybe he can find some friends or whatever, his mate maybe. Maybe I don't know. I am not an animal expert or insect expert, but I was just curious about it. So maybe he's a animal expert or whatever, but maybe he knows. But you can also tell me in the comments about this question which I had in my mind. So yeah, this video was really cool to watch. It was really so entertaining to watch him. I mean, it's really like an other world he is in, like animals, insects. But I really feel sad for ants. But what can we do? So yeah, this video was really fun to watch. If you also love my videos, so you can subscribe, like and subscribe, and I will meet you in the next video. Bye.